welcome to Raising Vibrations Astrology. And today I'm going to be discussing with you my thoughts on Pluto, and in particular Pluto in Capricorn. Now, in the past, I've done a couple of videos that have shared my thoughts on this subject. There are some that are very long in their length, and so it's not the first time that I've spoken about this symbolism. But I feel that as the natural way that this symbolism unfolds for us, that we need to kind of have some updates on what is taking place for us. So that's what I intend to do today. I really hope that that feels right for you at this point in time. And, you know, for me, it does definitely. It's manifested into my field within the last maybe 3 days in terms of this need to go, just speak about that. And yeah, I think there's a lot to talk about in terms of where I've been before. Now, for anybody that's just come to Raising Vibrations' channel itself, I think that there's a really important need to understand the nature of why Pluto in Capricorn is incredibly essential to not only have a deep understanding of regarding your own personal story in your birth chart and how that transit's affecting you, but also the nature of how to emotionally integrate and or respond to the overall circumstances and realities that are taking place on the outside. In other words, the existential dream world or matrix, however you wish to describe it. And, you know, this is a big deal, and it's the undercurrent, in my opinion, regarding the natural way that we are how we are human beings are actually evolving at this point in time. And I feel that this conversation is a little bit heavy and a little bit deep. So I suggest maybe watching it 3 or 4 times to really get what I'm trying to say in this message as well. That's something that I definitely felt was important to say as well regarding this. So coming back to the importance that I give Pluto and Capricorn, and why I'm saying that this is essential for us to understand around how do we emotionally respond and engage in what's taking place for us right now. Pluto as an archetype, okay? Pluto as a symbolism, Pluto as the natural manifestation of how we are seeing it in our reality, okay? In its most fundamental form, reflects the natural transformation of anything, okay? Now, I've spoken about transformation being a Uranian archetype, and it is. And Pluto in itself is transmutation, but it is also the natural connection or the natural stages that anything that is initiating a transmutation of must go through, okay? So an example that I can give is, again, the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. Pluto is that entire process of how you see something degenerate itself into a form that is source, okay, that is liquid, all right, and then biologically through its own DNA reconstruct itself into a form that is completely different to the one that it was before, okay? That's why Pluto transits are very essential for you to understand in your life, because if you're going through a Pluto transit, the form, the reality, the life that you are existing in will literally, through its own genetic and evolutionary process, completely not transmute itself. Our emotional and psychological relationship to the process of evolution that Pluto represents is where the toughness comes in, okay? And for us to really understand this process, we need to understand the dynamics of the psychology that we as human beings bring to this reality, okay? So I'm going to come back to the Pluto thing again. The transformation is the step that takes place as the breaking down of said structure, okay? In this case, the breaking down of the outer exoskeleton of the caterpillar, the breaking down of the molecular DNA structure that is contained within this caterpillar, and how it eats its food, how it survives, all of that type of stuff must degenerate, okay? And if you notice in a mutation process, there's always 3 stages, okay? There is the stage in which the mutation is starting to take place. So this is an activation point. In the caterpillar's case, it starts to form a cocoon or a chrysalis. And then we have the middle point, which is the actual formation and degeneration process. This is happening inside a chrysalis. And I would say that human beings, for us right now, we are in that chrysalis phase. But I feel that we are at the other side, and it is not the formlessness that we are merging to. We are forming out of the formlessness. In other words, that we are in this process of understanding and awakening the heart. We're in this process of deepening our relationship to ourselves in a more transcendental way. And it is this like relationship on a biological level, okay, not a human perspective, ideas, man-made perceptions of what we think the world is about, etc., or life is about, but on a genetic level. I'm talking about the actual mutation of our species and our genes, okay, and this ongoing process that is actually going to be taking place for a very long period of time, okay. So this is a big deal in terms of the natural way in which we as human beings are evolving at this point in time, and especially our species, okay? So we are in that, like I said, we're in that formlessness point, but we are going through a human experience of understanding and a deepening and cleansing and purifying, okay? So we're on this natural wanting to or desire to start or needing attachment towards what we are morphing to. Okay, it doesn't mean that we are complete from the cycle of degeneration. I don't feel like that. I feel like this is where we are in this kind of like tangent between the two processes, swinging back and forth. And as we go through our lives and we kind of purify, and this is a very deep thing that I'm talking about here, because I'm talking about an alchemical process. Okay, I'm talking about a sieving out of imbalances that no longer can be supported as a frequency on this field of existence. And so the natural inability for a frequency to be held at a certain vibration will drop off, will fragment, it will break. And it is that process of fragmentation and breaking that most of us have been experiencing since 2012. Okay, and this is not something that most of us have awoken to this process as it's kind of like a 100th monkey experience, in which the tipping point of the human experience has started to reach an activation at that stage. Okay, so with Pluto moving through Capricorn in itself, and the beginning and initiation of the cycle taking place for us in 2008, okay, you will start to notice that if we look at the cycles in a more deeper perspective, in other words, we look at Pluto and we look at this overall arcing mutation, okay? If you look at the more smaller cycles that are existing within that overall cycle, you'll notice that there are factors that are coming into play. And this is what's so fascinating to me personally in terms of my own like observations and detached objectivity in watching how this is unfolding for us, okay, is that if we observe the kind of generations that are moving through their phases in life, we're actually at a point in which there is a massive transition between the Pluto and Leo generation, in which we're existing in their prime, to now returning back to the space of humbleness and saying that, okay, we've had our time of power, we've dictated how the world must be and what we felt was influential, etc. And now we're coming back to the center. And this is a big deal for you guys, because most of you are experiencing a deep inner crisis around the loss of power and trying to hold on to it, and then feeling the creeping up of time, as it were, and then the panic of what am I supposed to do? But yet, on the other side, I've met the other guys, the other parts of you that have also realized this deep desire to want to be of service, i.e. to come back to the center and help the emerging generations, as it were, come into their realization of what this whole journey was about. So there's actually an awakening story for you there in that process. You've really got to get in touch with what is meaningful for you, Pluto and Leo, so that you can transition out of this breaking down cycle and degeneration cycle and emerge out of it in a way that is still keeping you empowered in a sense of what your next phase is about. I hope that made sense. just to let everybody know, by the way, we're going to be here at Raising Vibrations. We're going to be doing a generations series and workshops, okay? Where we're going to basically be taking all the knowledge and information that we have regarding these generations and these workshops and creating some free webcasts for you. And Jen's going to be joining us, which is amazing. And there's going to be some workshops as well that we would invite you to come and participate in, where we would look at your astrology charts and really, discuss how this is happening for you on a personal level as well. So keep your eyes out for that type of stuff. Just a side note over there. Anyway. So we look at the Pluto and Virgo generation, okay? You guys in particular, you come into this lifetime and there's 3 versions of you, okay? There's the ones that have got Uranus in Leo, the ones that have got Uranus in Virgo, and the ones of you got Uranus in Libra. And all 3 of you have got your own kind of stories that you're transitioning into at this point in time and finding your place with. You've got the Pluto and Libras, for instance, that are completely and utterly in 2 worlds, where they're actually bridging the 2 experiences in this sense, okay? And then you have the Pluto and Scorpios coming into the natural state of empowerment, but realizing the total, complete, and utter corruption that has been taking place on the planet, realizing where the disempowerment process is about and saying enough. So this emerging, so all these different types of generations are awakening themselves up at this point in time. And Pluto is moving through Capricorn. And as these inner cycles are vibrating through their different flowering techniques and blueprint activations, you're seeing their entire fracturing of humanity's perception of who we are and what we do and everything. And there's complete madness out there. There's complete madness out there. And the thing for everybody to really get a key understanding of is that the madness has got a lot to do with the relationship that we are at currently at this point in time. Okay, the relationship we are at currently at this point in time, the relationship we have to the nature of what is our true human experience, the relationship that we have to the distortions that have manifested out of the darkness that have been present on our planet and our consciousness at this point in time. And again, the relationship towards what sleeping state naturally brings to us, i.e. the unconscious sleeping patterns that are in our psyches from experiences that we have had in the past that we don't work through or process or understand or healthily integrate, etc. And when I say sleeping states and darkness, I'm talking about the relationship that we have to the feminine energy and the vibration that manifests itself from our responses, from the states that we're in. Okay, so as an example, we get heavily distracted. Okay, the nature of our mind is very weak. Okay, so the mind is heavily conditioned. In fact, 90% of us that are watching this video right now, if you are not in every single day of your life making sure that you're deconditioning yourself from the social norms, regulations, ways of being, what has been told to you through society, through the laws, etc. If you're not deconditioning yourself every single day from that process, you are actually in a very, very deep state of slow mutation. Okay, and you're not doing yourself any favors. And I promise you right now, there is a reason why the films The Matrix came out, especially the first one, and that scene where Morpheus is offering the red or the blue pill. Like, that's not just fun and games, theatrical sort of like, let's just go to the consensus reality, to people that are in a state of still emerging their consciousness and understanding the natural laws of, darkness before illumination. They will naturally just see that as a cool sci-fi film. But to the ones that are awake and understanding the symbolism that is presented through these videos, this is about the nature of deconditioning your mind, freeing your mind, understanding your organic and natural way of responding to your reality, understanding the natural laws of what this bio system is about. Okay, so we have Pluto and Capricorn again directly influencing the deconstruction, degeneration cycle. Okay, activating this process and awakening the limitations that we as human beings been living through and fracturing it open And because of the fracturing that is taking place, because of the old structures, and this is a classic thing, wherever you go on the internet, you can read at least one article that will describe to you that Pluto correlates to the destruction of structures. Yes, that's right. Because in order for a consciousness to understand itself, it needs to have a natural reflector. And the reflector is the structure or form in which it takes to experience its self. Okay? And you can just look at the natural formation of the flower of life. And as it forms into a state, at some point, the formation of its state, so for instance, if it gets over to like 7 or 8 concentric circles like this, it will start to create a 3D prism within inside of itself. And it is that relationship to the center bouncing off the framework, coming back to the center, that creates the relationship of awareness. Okay, so on a deep level, we're looking at the natural framework of the entire collective's truths, structures, ways of living, laws, boundaries, etc., coming to a complete and utter degeneration cycle. Okay? And this is a big deal for us. This is a big deal for us because the insanity, as I'm talking about right now, I'm specifically focusing on the insanity, is because when you are interfacing with something that is holding the primal security of your biological form, okay, if it's degenerating, if it's not moving, if it's not allowing for that relationship to establish a connection of, okay, I'm safe, then what is going to precede that experience is confusion, lostness. This is this Pisces stuff that can naturally manifest, right? The chaos, the I don't know what we're doing. It's like, it's too much. And it will naturally create fragmentation. It will naturally create fracturing. You know, this is not something that's exclusive to a Pluto transit through Capricorn. You can have this during war. You can have this during a car accident. You can have this during, rock concerts, whatever. You know, the archetypes are still there. It's just that on a global scale, each and every single individual generation and how it's awakening and creating its own pockets of what its blueprints are will naturally fragment the structures of reality that we have been as human beings creating and living through and evolving through. Okay. And it then opens ourselves up to the cosmic force. It opens ourselves up to the natural sort of cosmic cycles that we're existing within. And because we are not trained to emotionally process the magnitude of what it is that we're actually dealing with here, the response again through the biological form, i.e. the monkey brain, i.e. the primal form of what the limbic system is supposed to be doing to keeping us safe, etc. All of that biological structuring is reshaping itself. And so this is where I talk to the Pluto and Sag souls and the Pluto in and Scorpio souls that are on the planet right now going, Jesus, what am I supposed to be doing? I'm lost. I need you guys to chill out. I really do. I need you to chill out completely. I need you to take a sit back. I need you to act upon the things that you feel are essential in terms of confronting the nonsense and the crap and the lies and the disempowerings and all the stuff that has been completely and utterly destructive to us. I want you to focus on that and keep voicing that opinion. But I do not want you to go, I'm not achieving or successful or mature enough at my age, and so therefore there must be something wrong with me. This is key. Okay, each and every single one of us have activation points within our own evolutionary cycle, and if we're going to allow the mind to dictate through its conditioning patterns what dictates what is essential for our process and where we are, the only thing that you're going to experience is more disease within yourself. And you're going to live a very unfulfilled existence because your natural relationship to what you think you're supposed to be doing versus what is actually natural for you and what you're actually trying to accomplish for your own evolutionary cycle is way out of proportion, way out of line. Okay? So it's essential for you guys to just chill out, sit back for a bit and enjoy yourselves. Just do the things that are fun for you. Activate some stuff. If you feel passionate about astrology in some way, shape or form and you're sharing it, just keep doing it. There will be natural points in which you will have activations and you go with that flow. The same with me and the same with the Pluto and Virgos. Again, we all have to a certain degree this natural timing cycle that must be honored. Okay. And if we try to activate it through our own ego structure, then we will naturally create crises within ourselves. And the reason why I say this is because it's essential for us to understand that when we open ourselves up to more cosmic understanding about the nature of reality as it actually is, not the one that we choose to have it because of our own preferences regarding safety, regarding what we want to happen, our idealisms, etc., but the actual natural laws that exist within this framework, what we will come to understand within ourselves, okay, is that this mutation process, this degeneration process, this natural unfolding process cannot be accelerated through our personal will. But what it can do is, what it can do for us, I mean, what we can do for it in terms of its relationship of how it's organically forming for its own process, is to emotionally connect to that cycle where it is right now and understand how that cycle is then directly influencing the evolutionary intention of our own individual soul journey, our own individual intention, okay? Because then what happens from this experience is that there is no miscommunication between the binary coding between what the organic cycle of maturation and of mutation is doing, and how your actual collective or your individual story around coming on being birthed at this point in time, what that process is about. So let me put it to you this way, because this is super difficult in terms of my own explanation. Is that here you have this organic sort of like mutation cycle that's taking place for it, right? This is where it's going. And each of us get born at a specific point in time. And relative to where this organic sort of mutation cycle is taking place for us, okay, will dictate how we are connected to that. In other words, if I'm, say, for instance, born 1983, Pluto and Libra generation, where we are right now in terms of our mutation cycle is directly relative to the natural soul's desires that I have in me to evolve what I need to evolve. Okay, and the awakenings that come from those moments will be directly relative to the next futuristic or directions that my soul seeks. So it's actually like using this stream that is far more complex and larger than what the brain can conceive in terms of its own ideals about what it's trying to put into practical linear terms. This stream of awakening and spiritual essence, as we interact with it, evolves us, but it evolves us relative to our desire to want to be evolved in that connection. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter if you try and evolve yourself faster than what the stream can do. It's not where it is. And the collective will reveal it to you, because you'll either be seen as an outcast because you're accelerating your evolution too fast, or you find yourself in a complete and utter disassociated and detached experience, not part of the stream, not integrated into a way where your actual evolution is working, and you're just bypassing it and using the mind to rationalize your detachment. Do you see how big this is in terms of the natural relationship that we have to what our evolution is showing us in this moment, and how it is incredibly important to pay attention to the actual cycle of process right now, and then to see how you're responding to that and allow that interaction to evolve you in the moment. So if we come back to the Pluto and Capricorn thing again, and we make the connection between this overall deconstruction cycle, each and every single one of us that's on this planet right now is obviously wanting and needing and desiring and evolving its own deconstruction cycle. Everything within yourself is somewhere connected to that deconstruction cycle. And some of us are, not some of us, all of us at this point in time are interacting with the rebirth as well. We're all part of this bridge that we're connecting at this stage. And relative to our generations that we are born into will dictate the relationship we have to where we are in that cosmic cycle. And that's the beauty of this experience. And I think what's really exciting about this is if we take the relationship to ourselves and our ego self, and we emotionally respond to the situation from the place of whatever is going to be manifesting and evolving the natural stream, okay, is where my soul is intending to go. So if I just allow this process to unfold for me as it is organically, and I'm just responding to it by allowing it to show what life is showing me, then what will occur from this experience is an organic blueprint activation within yourself. And then it's not driven by the mind. You see this experience. So I feel like the Pluto and Capricorn energy has this overall mutation process. I feel that we're deconditioning in a very big way. We don't know the direction that we're going in. All we do know at this point in time is that we will be at some point looking back at this period of time and going, oh my God, here's the old self and here's the new self. And they probably won't even be able to be measurable in terms of how vastly different they're going to be. Okay. Cool. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for your time. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate that a lot. And if you are also new to the channel, check out the monthly horoscopes that are out. By the way, just to let everybody know, I will be doing those within the next 2 or 3 days. And yeah, have a fantastic... oh, one last thing I wanted to let everybody know. On the 31st of July, I'm having a beginner's course astrology. And if you're interested in this experience, please email me and say to me that you're interested in the experience. You can book a consultation where you can talk to me, and I'll let you know exactly what's going down with this beginner's course astrology. This is a very serious course because what I do is I teach you and train you to become an astrologer yourself through these courses. And it gives you the capacity to actually go out there and help others heal themselves as you are healing yourself through your own process. So it's not just about learning signs and planets. It's an entire awakening and activation within yourself. So if you're really committed and dedicated to making this transformation in your life, I encourage you to participate in this experience. Okay. That's it. Have a fantastic week, guys. Take care. Bye.